The following is a Tony Lasano podcast, an Opie show on the Radio Misfits Podcast Network. This is Free Kicks.
Well, Mr. England here has been watching his hometown team. It's got to be pretty exciting. You're sitting here in Illinois, near Chicago. It's FA Cup is going on back home. You have what was the name of your team that you grew up with?
Well, my hometown where I grew up in a town called Slough, which was the original office location. So the show The Office, that was where it was officially located, which then became Trenton, New Jersey, right, for the U.S. version.
No, it wasn't. It Scranton, Pennsylvania.
Scranton, yes, right? You're absolutely right. Scranton, yeah, exactly.
Okay, so this is the Scranton of England.
That's right. That's right, Slough. Yeah, and they got to play in the FA Cup, which was so exciting. First round. So they said that they'd already played 6 games to get there. That's the crazy thing. And remember, all the Premier League teams don't enter till round 3. So, but it was live on ESPN Plus. My goodness, what a fantastic channel that is. You can get to see so many games, college games, everything else. So I watched the game, and they were almost, they were very close to the upset. They actually have a player manager, which is awesome. He played and scored. He scored the goal to put them ahead. And then about 10 minutes left, Grimsby, who were in League 2, they're kind of near the bottom of League 2. So they're a professional club. Ended up tying it up. So they have a replay on the 14th of November. So I have to watch that one again. But exciting.
So the league that they're in, is that, so I've been watching this Wrexham show.
Yeah.
They're even lower than Wrexham, right?
Oh, yeah. So Wrexham's in League 2, same league as Grimsby.
Right.
So Slough would be in the 6th tier. So the next is the conference, and then there's the South. They're in the South Division, so they would be in the 6th tier of football in England. So they're 2 divisions away from getting into the league potentially.
Well, I got to tell you, the FA Cup is one of the more interesting and exciting things to watch. We'll get into that more as we get
for sure.
Get deeper into the tournament. But right now, it is time for Free Kicks.
And now, Free Kicks. Free Kicks with Illinois Youth Soccer Association's Director of Coaching, Adam Howarth, and Rick Kemper.
Slough. I just like the name of it. So last week, if you were listening to this show, you heard Adam predict the game of the week. His TV tip.
Yeah.
Well, boy, did you nail that one! It was Spurs versus Chelsea at Stamford Bridge. This game had everything. There were 2 red cards for the Spurs. There were injuries to big players. There were 2 disallowed goals for Chelsea, another disallowed goal for Tottenham. It was a free-for-all, and it was one of the most entertaining games I've ever watched.
I must confess, I totally agree with you. It was end to end. I literally needed to take a nap afterwards. I was that tired after the game. My goodness, so many ups and downs. And then obviously the whole VAR thing is just completely out of control. We're going to have to, there's got to be something to be discussed about there. I'm sure there's going to be lots of discussions, but my goodness,
it does
I've
seem
never
like
seen anything.
It does seem like common sense doesn't enter into the equation. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just a little bit of common sense. If there is a, let's say, offsides, and it's by an inch, and it was not called on the field. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It just seems like a bad idea to overturn that. But
Yeah,
what
no,
do I know?
mean, yeah, exactly. No, I agree. I mean, this is where the game's going. I think the Tottenham manager said it best. I mean, if this is where we're going, these games are going to take forever, because they're going to be stopping. There was so many stops and starts. It felt like, I hate to say this, but it almost felt like an American football game.
Yeah.
with we had a few timeouts in there.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness! And
Huddles.
it's unbelievable. But yeah, that's what ended up happening. And I mean, in terms of the game itself, wow, what an amazing match in terms of the decision. And for me, this was the biggest thing: the decision of Tottenham to play that high line throughout the whole second half. We're down 2 men, and then try to. And to be fair, should have scored. In fact, they had 2 goals disallowed, by the way.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you're right. They did.
yeah, because they scored. I thought a great goal to tie it up.
Eric Dyer.
Actually, was it to go ahead? I think it might have been to go ahead.
No, it was to tie it 2-2.
Tie it up, to tie it to 2-2. My goodness, what a finish that was! And it was just unbelievable, all the things that happened. But that was the decision he made, and Chelsea were trying to get in behind. Finally, Nicholas Jackson scored some goals, and the score probably flattered Chelsea a little bit. But
yeah, you think?
they got the result. But hey, when you're 11 against 9, you would expect to win, you would think.
That's true. But I was watching the game. My son called me up to say, you got to turn this on, because I hadn't been watching it because I was working. But, I flipped it on and watched it. And that when Dyer scored that goal, I thought, I don't believe it. They're going to get a point out of this game.
I know.
They had no business getting a point out of the game. But it was a big win for Chelsea in the end, and they won 4-1 was the final score. And it was not a 4-1 game. It was nip and tuck all the way.
Yeah, and again, I think part of that was the decision by the manager to play the high line. That's the discussion that's going to go on, I'm sure, for the next week. Yeah. But I loved how he said, that's who we are. That's what we do.
Yeah,
we'll do it with 5. So I'll give him, he's committed to his decision. So give him credit there.
Well, in that regard, he kind of reminds me of Jurgen Klopp, who also unapologetically just says, this is our system, this is where we're playing, this is how we do it. And, there are days it works and days it doesn't work. And for instance, this past weekend, it didn't work against Luton Town. They dropped 2 points there. It was a 1-1 draw. In fact, they were lucky to get the draw because Luis Diaz got a goal in the 95th minute.
Yeah, really.
But let me just say this. I don't know if we've talked about this, what Luis Diaz is going through. His parents were kidnapped. Yes. They were kidnapped. Yeah. And I guess his mother has been released. His father, I think, is still being held. And he's out there playing the game, under those circumstances. That's got to be a trying situation.
I couldn't even imagine what he's going through. I mean, all he knows is obviously he's in a football situation. He's just around his team, which is probably the best thing he could do. Yeah. And for him to then play and to commit himself to playing in this game, absolutely amazing. And he actually had it under his T-shirt, and then for him to score the tying goal in the 95th minute, talk about a poignant time to do it. So it was an amazing portion of the game, that's for sure. And freedom for his papa was what he put on his T-shirt underneath. Right. So he's give him massive credit for him to do what he's doing and deal with what he's dealing with.
I watched that game, and Liverpool totally dominated, of course. It reminded me of that Chelsea game a couple weeks ago, where they just dominated, but could not get that final goal. But Luton Town now, you're getting a little nervous. They're up to 6 points.
No, 6 points. I was getting a little concerned when they had 8.
Yeah,
but they've still got 6. It's okay. I mean, the bottom of the table.
Okay.
They're in 4th. They're 4th from bottom now, so I guess that's the thing. But other teams around them are doing better. In fact, Sheffield United won, so there you go. So they're getting a little bit closer. So they got this. So everybody's got at least a win. Yeah. So that's a good thing in that bottom 4. But it's already starting to turn into a bottom 4 situation. There's a 5-point drift between Luton and Everton, who's fifth from bottom. So
yeah,
I think it's going to be these four battling for those three spots.
it does feel like Everton is making its way out of that area. So they're starting to get their act together. The other game that was a big highlight match was Newcastle versus Arsenal.
Yeah.
Newcastle with a big win, and don't look now, but they're right back up there again. They're in sixth place on the table. Arsenal drops to fourth, and look who's back at the top.
Yes, Manchester City. Amazing. I know. It's they just find a way, don't they? They just find a way, and they played really well, I thought. But again, the whole Newcastle game, that was a whole VAR situation as well. With the way they scored, they had to do 3 VAR checks on the goal.
Right.
One with the ball going out, one with the push, and then one for an offside. And it seemed like that was what was happening in the Chelsea-Tottenham game. And again, we're double checking and triple checking.
Well, I mean, it's one thing to check the offsides or to see if there's a foul in the box. It's another thing to check like 4 plays before that.
Yeah, I know. That's the tough thing.
I mean, come on. Why do you even have linesmen out there if you're going to handle it that way?
Exactly. We're at the point where we could probably just be staying at home and refereeing the games ourselves. That might be the situation. What we could just do. We
Remote
could do
control.
That. Exactly. Probably be better off doing it as well. So who knows? But and the interesting thing is the referee, if I remember, for the Newcastle, was that Anthony Taylor? I think that was Anthony Taylor who refereed that game with the controversy. He ended up getting demoted. So he got demoted and it was actually refereeing in the championship this week. And then today, breaking news this morning, guess what game he's got on this weekend? He's got the
Chelsea
game. So so we'll see how that goes.
He's the guy that loves giving out red cards, right?
Yes.
All right.
I have to send you the video of him. All of the bad calls that Chelsea fans have already put video clips of all of the bad calls he's made against Chelsea. So it's quite interesting.
There's another question that I wanted to bring up, and this is something just as a viewer, and I'm a big fan of the announcers. I always have been. It's something that I do for a living. I'm a radio professional, and I listen to John Champion, who I think is quite good as the announcer, but it seems like everybody hates him. Have you noticed that? I mean, there's like a vibe there. They keep switching it between Lee Dixon and Graham, and it seems like both of them kind of don't like him. Have you picked up any of that at all?
Seems like he's very, I wouldn't say sarcastic, but he's got a little bit of an attitude at times. I definitely sense that. Doing a little bit of research on him. I don't know if it's just because of how he was brought up. His father was a principal at a school, so maybe he was downtrodden as a youngster. I don't know. Who knows? Huh. But he's always quick with the one-liners back, and I definitely sense that there's not this quite feeling of everybody doing really, really well when he's commentating with, like you said, with Lee Dixon and also with Graham Lasso. So, because they were going back and forth yesterday, and he's always putting in like little jibes, like yesterday with Graham Lasso about, remember when you got the red card here? And he's always picking on people. So I'm like, he's like, Graham Lasso's like, easy, it's okay. I think he even mentioned it. He said, 3 red cards in 500 games? That's not that bad.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's like they were.
Yeah.
It's not like happy, snappy banter. You know what I mean? It's not like good pals teasing each other, which is, I think, what he wants it to be. But that's why I think there must be something about him that they just don't like, because they do that sort of thing to each other all the time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
it's no big deal. But when he does it, it's like, shut up, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true. Maybe there's something underlying we don't know about. But he's got some digs. It's like he has all these digs prepared. So
Yeah.
I feel bad for Graham Lasso and Lee Dixon, that's for sure.
Well, that's something to tune in for. If the listeners check him out next time he's doing the broadcast, let me know if you hear anything. Send that in to me.
See any jibes?
Exactly. Free Kicks is brought to you by Illinois Youth Soccer Association.
Illinois Youth Soccer has been proudly serving the Illinois soccer community since 1975, and is a non-profit corporation, official state association and charter member of the U.S. Soccer Federation, administers U.S. Soccer Federation coaching programs, the Olympic Development Program, and U.S. Soccer Federation referee programs. For more information, go to illinoisyouthsoccer.org.
Okay, I think there's also some Chicago area news.
And
Yes.
now, the latest Chicago area soccer news. Soccer news. With Coach Adam. Coach Adam.
Let's hear
Yeah,
it.
so, busy weekend. So we had most of our staff were up there this weekend. I wasn't there. I was preparing for the podcast by watching as many games as I possibly could.
I'm working here.
Exactly. But the nice thing is you can always watch them online. That was the beautiful thing about it. But definitely some congratulations need to go out to the following teams. So 15U Girls, Evolution, congratulations for being the state champions. 16U Girls, FC United, state champions. 17U Girls, FC United again, state champions. 18U Girls, Crystal Lake Force Elite, 18U Girls, state champions. And then 19U Girls, FC United. So a pretty good weekend, I would say, for FC United, winning 3 state championships. So congrats to them. So they'll all represent Illinois at regionals this next summer. So that's exciting for them. And then we're already starting with the process already. Teams starting to get their things together to prepare themselves for the spring. So that's where the majority of the boys teams, obviously we do the girls in the fall because the girls are playing high school soccer in the spring. So we kind of take care of all those teams. So congrats to them, and looking forward to the spring contest. Don't forget those people. We've got ODP. It's pretty much registration's closed, but check in with our administrator Rico to see if there's any spots here or there left in some areas. I know he's been sending some information out, and we've got a whole bunch of coaching courses out there for people to jump onto, including the new club leadership course, which is the DOC course, as well as a couple of C licenses, a B license, as well as some grassroots and a D license as well. So we're going to be pretty busy.
So around the office, do they call him Rico Suave?
No, just Rico.
Okay.
It's Ivan Rico, but he goes by Rico.
Oh, okay. That's a free one.
I do like that. That's a free one.
It's a free one. All right, it's time for another feature of ours.
Time now to guess the Premier League star.
So last week I was chastened by our esteemed co-host here, Mr. Howarth. He got the guess in like 3 guesses, and he challenged me to find a new way to do it. And I have, in fact, chosen a very, very difficult one for this week. So it'll all even out over time. But this week's Premier League star is 29 years old.
Okay.
He's currently playing for his 3rd Premier League club and has played 270 games in the Premier League. So he's been around.
Mm-hmm.
Neither of his previous clubs are still in the Premiership, by the way.
Okay.
All right. They were when he was on them. They are no longer. He's a winger. He wears number 15. He's an English lad and has played for the national team as a youngster, but only once for the first team, and that was in 2017.
Wow, only played once for the national team. Interesting. Number 15.
Uh-huh.
Is he playing with Tottenham?
He is not.
Okay.
His previous clubs are Norwich City and Southampton. He played for Norwich City for 3 years and Southampton for 6. He also played in Turkey.
Okay. I don't remember him playing in Turkey. I was just thinking of somebody there. I was thinking of Danny Ings, but that's not Danny Ings for West Ham. No, he played there. Played for Southampton and Norwich. Is that what you said?
That's right. His current club was promoted this year and sit near the bottom of the table.
Near the bottom, so they're not at the bottom.
Correct.
Oh, okay. So he might have played with Luton Town. Would that be fair to say?
Nope. One of the teams below Luton Town in these standings.
Well, you definitely made it more tricky, that's for sure. So he's got to be either with Bournemouth or Burnley.
He is with one of those two.
Would it be Bournemouth?
It would not.
So it has to be Burnley.
Okay. Wow, you've narrowed it down. He has scored 58 goals in his career, but none for Burnley.
Yeah, right, exactly. So has he even been playing much this season?
Maybe not.
I don't think he's played hardly any games. This is the problem we have, Rick.
He played for the national team. He played for the national team.
I know. He played. Yeah. Well, yeah. That was when everybody was playing for the national team. So I'm guessing this is a player, Burnley. I don't know too much about him, to be honest, but he is. He hasn't hardly played at all this year. I think he might have been injured. And a good friend of mine, in fact, it's so funny you say that. We were just talking about Burnley yesterday. And he was basically telling me about how frustrated he is with the team because they change the lineup every week.
Yeah.
And he never mentioned this guy's name. So that's why it's interesting. He talked about every single player on the team, but didn't mention Nathan Redmond at all.
Very good. So my last two clues were he shares a first name with the man who played Max Bialystock and the Producers on Broadway. And he shares a last name with a town in Washington State, which is famous for its sea salt and bentonite clay. So,
gotcha.
So that probably would have given it away.
Yeah, that would have been it. That would have been it. Here's the thing. When on earth did he play for England?
In 2017, he played one game against, I don't know who he played against.
Yeah. I was like, man, I don't even remember him playing for England. And to be honest with you, I didn't even know he played for Burnley.
Yeah, I didn't either. I was looking for a very obscure player, so I found one.
So it's guess the obscure player.
Premier League star is what it's called.
Oh yeah. So you just
don't you ever tell me it's too easy, pal.
Well. You've titled this Guess the Premier League Star. Now you basically renamed this to Guess the Premier League. Who knows who it is?
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's got 270 games in the Premiership, so he's not
less than 5 games this season he's played. He's hardly played at all.
Yeah. Yep, that's him. Well, I was going to do a more obscure player on Luton Town, but I thought maybe that would be too hard. At least this guy's been around a little bit. But there's always next week. We'll find out what next week's Guess the Premier League Star. But right now it's time for this feature.
Now time for Adam's Weekend Soccer TV Tip.
So you called it last week. You nailed it.
Yeah.
What is it this weekend?
Well, I was looking at the games. I mean, this again, I was looking at who's playing who. Interestingly enough, I thought I was a bit surprised, and this goes to our Aston Villa viewer here, listener.
Yeah.
I picked a whole bunch of those players off Aston Villa to play on my fantasy team, and they were useless. Absolutely useless. Yeah. I mean, and that's when you and I have talked about how it's very difficult. You can't bet on the Premier League. No. I would have bet a lot of money on Aston Villa beating Nottingham Forest. Absolutely. Especially with the form that they're in. And I look at the score, 2-0. What the heck?
Yeah.
But that's an interesting game to see how they would rebound on that Sunday. So I would definitely put that down as maybe the 1A. That's the early morning game.
Okay.
But you've got to watch this one. It's going to be amazing. And I know it's my team again, but
wait. So when is the morning game? Is that the 6:30 game?
It's 8 a.m. So
8 a.m.
I think that's workable for you.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's workable for you. Aston Villa, Fulham. Definitely watch that one, I think, because Fulham's in a rough go, and I'll be interested to see if Aston Villa's for real. Partly because I want to make sure my players that I picked are able to do it. So we'll see. Okay. But the big game's got to be Sunday early morning. Well, it's not really early morning, mid-morning. Chelsea at the Bridge against the Citizens, Manchester City. This is going to be a cracker of a game.
Yeah.
Chelsea flying high, on form, destroying Tottenham Hotspur on the weekend.
Who was top of the table, knocked them off the top of the table. Now they're ready to knock another team off the top of the table.
Unbeaten, whatever. We beat Tottenham. Yeah, they all think they're that better than everybody, but it's all about Chelsea. This show's all about Chelsea. Yeah. Let's be honest.
That's what we hear. That's what people tell us.
But no, it should be. It's definitely the best game to watch. Chelsea, Man City should be a really good match. 10:30 Sunday. Definitely tune into that one. And the big question is going to be: can Chelsea control who I think is Manchester City's best player right now, Jeremy Doku? I don't know if you've seen him.
Oh, he's been on fire. That guy.
Oh, my goodness. He is just unbelievable. I think he had 3 assists in the last game and a goal. Just tremendous. He just drives at players. He is going to be tough to handle.
You got to feel good for Man City because, they needed a good player. They just didn't have enough firepower.
Yeah, especially on the wing. I mean, who do they? Foden, Grealish, Doku.
Come on.
It's a tough dilemma they have to deal with. So I mean, you just pick the best out of those 3.
Yeah.
That's the problem. That's what he has to think. It's either Doku or Grealish. That's who he's got to pick.
I know.
It's crazy.
All right. Well, this program, Free Kicks, is brought to you by Green White Soccer Club, and I was at the Illinois Soccer Hall of Fame induction ceremony this past weekend, and congratulations to Marcus Luxkong and Joe Fillion, former Green White players who are now Hall of Famers. That was kind of a fun night. It was open bar, so
tremendous.
Yes, that's how they hooked me in. But I'm very happy for those guys. It was fun. If you want to find out more about Green White Soccer Club, check us out. It's greenwhitesoccer.org. Next week is a big show, Adam. Tell everybody what next week is.
It is number 200, the episode that we never thought we'd get to. We thought 100 was going to be great, but we're going to be at 200 episodes.
Amazing. So be sure to tune in next week because we'll be back for the 200th episode of Free Kicks.
The preceding was a presentation of Opie Productions. Find our other great shows wherever you find podcasts, including opishows.com. Thank you.
This has been a presentation of Opie Productions.
Tony, can you shut up?
Don't you ever tell me it's too easy.